Welcome to Hot Drama TV.
Musical note: inside a small house in Dandong, a musical dream quietly grew. In the glittering world of Chinese entertainment, where flashing cameras and stories of privileged upbringings often dominate, Liu Yuning stands out as a true exception. He didn't debut under a powerful label, didn't come from a wealthy family, and had no industry backing. He stepped into music with nothing but a heart that refused to give up. Before he became a phenomenon with tens of millions of fans, before his voice filled drama soundtracks across China, there was once a small boy in Dandong, sleeping beside his grandfather, uncle, and younger brother on the cold wooden floor, dreaming that one day he would sing loud enough for the world to hear. Cloud with snow, a cold childhood on the border. Dandong, the border city between China and North Korea, is a place where winter bites so deep that your breath turns to frost. In a small house there, Liu Yuning grew up with his grandparents after losing his father at the age of 4. His mother left for distant cities to earn a living. There was no private room, no warm bed, only a worn-out floor and an old stove, around which the family huddled each night to survive the long freezing season. Music came to him like an imaginary friend. When neighbors played the radio or someone sang at a wedding, little Liu Yuning would stop and listen. He once asked his uncle to teach him music, but the reply was heartbreaking. "I'm sorry, we don't have the money." For most children, that would have been the end of the dream. For the boy from Dandong, it was only the first note of a lifetime symphony. Fire, self-taught, self-raised, singing for himself. With no school, no teacher, no instrument, he began to learn by listening and imitating. While working as a kitchen helper, he sang quietly in his head. When washing dishes, he tapped rhythms with a spoon. Walking home, he hummed melodies instead of complaining about his fate. Every few yuan he saved went toward a cheap microphone, the first treasure of his life. In one interview he said, "No one believed I could become a singer. But I didn't need them to believe. I just needed to keep singing." Back then, he performed in local bars for small tips. Sometimes only a few drunken customers listened, yet he smiled and sang as if it were a grand concert hall. That unfiltered sincerity became his greatest strength. A raw, emotional voice with no embellishment, but one that went straight to the heart. Glowing Star, the turning point. When the internet opened its door. In 2014, as social media platforms and livestream apps exploded across China, Liu Yuning opened an account on YY Live, then started sharing on Weibo and YouTube. He began streaming live performances from his tiny room each night, never imagining that those humble sessions would one day touch millions of people. One of his covers, Telling the Truth, Zhengjunda, went viral, spreading across the web with hundreds of thousands of shares. The name Liu Yuning suddenly climbed Weibo's hot search rankings. From a complete nobody, he became the new symbol of self-made success in China's digital era. But fame didn't come without trials. He once revealed that a record company offered him a contract, and he asked for 3 million RMB, enough to buy his mother a house. They refused. He simply smiled and said, "That's fine. I'll earn it myself with my own voice." Not long after, he truly did. Microphone from livestream rookie to CBi's golden voice. From a bar singer and streamer, Liu Yuning rose to become the golden OST voice of Chinese television. Songs such as Tianxia, Yin Yong Hung, and Paju echoed everywhere, from TV dramas to social media feeds. His song Paju, Breaking the Game, even topped Korea's Melon chart for 6 consecutive weeks, making him the first Mandarin artist ever to reach that milestone. Netizens hailed him as the man who defied the odds, while media outlets called him the embodiment of self-made music. No scandals, no marketing tricks, just a voice, and a story so real it inspired millions. Speech balloon, one sentence that moved millions. During a concert, as the lights dimmed, Liu Yuning paused and said softly, "If it weren't for that small house in Dandong, if it weren't for those nights by the stove, there would be no me today." The audience fell silent. Some wept, others smiled through tears, because they understood, before them stood not just a singer, but a living story of faith and perseverance. Crescent moon from Dandong to millions of hearts. Today, every time he steps onto a stage, people don't just hear his voice. They feel the echoes of that poor childhood woven into each note. He remains humble, grounded, and true to himself, still singing like that little boy who once sang for the warmth of a fireplace. His journey reminds us, you don't need the best starting point. You just need a heart that never quits. From that tiny house in Dandong, a musical dream quietly grew, patient, unyielding, and now it shines across China. Sunrise beyond the lights, where a new chapter begins. Even after his dreams had come true, Liu Yuning never forgot where it all began. Each time he returns to his hometown, he walks along that familiar dirt road and stops quietly in front of the small house of his childhood. The walls have been repaired, but the old stove, the one that once kept him warm through freezing winters, still stands. He once told a reporter, "I don't want to forget, because if I forget, I'll lose myself." Perhaps that's why, in a world of fame and flash, he still carries a rare sense of humility. It isn't an act, it's understanding. He knows that fame is temporary, but gratitude is forever. During one of his sold-out concerts, surrounded by a sea of phone lights shimmering like stars, he bowed his head for a long time before saying, "You see me shining today, but I'm just a man who once sang alone in the dark. You, all of you, are the light that shines back on me." The crowd fell silent, then erupted in tears and applause. No one could have imagined that the same young man who once sang unnoticed in the corner of a bar would one day move tens of thousands of hearts at once. And yet, even at the peak of fame, his eyes carried no arrogance. Only the softness of someone who truly knows what it feels like to be cold, and what it means to be alone. Milky Way, the dream has grown, but the heart remains the same. When asked in an interview, "What makes you different from other artists?" Liu Yuning smiled and said, "I never thought of myself as an artist. I'm just someone who sings to survive, and to thank life." Maybe that's why his voice has such an extraordinary power. It doesn't rely on grand techniques or flawless choreography. It simply tells stories. Stories of struggle and hope, of pain and forgiveness. And people realize that what moves them most about Liu Yuning is not just his voice. It's the truth behind it. Dizzy, the continuation. When loneliness becomes the bridge between millions. But Liu Yuning's journey didn't stop at success or applause. When the dream of music finally came true, a new chapter quietly began. One about connection, empathy, and healing. Because inside him still lives that same boy from Dandong, the one who once sang into the dark with no one listening. This time he sings not for himself, but for all those who still feel alone in their own battles. And that's where the next story begins. Right arrow, Liu Yuning and his invisible friends. How loneliness became the power that connected millions.